Now, this week has been quite challenging for the garden. We have had every weather condition except for snow, high winds, excessive rain. We had a dust storm. We had microbursts with tornado warnings. We had a 90-degree AM followed by a 45-degree PM. So every possible weather condition. Yet the plants continue to grow and thrive. So let's do a quick little tour. So this is my growing tower here, Greenstock. I am not affiliated in any way, but I do have strawberries growing here on the top, and they are starting to produce strawberry and ripen up. Now I have moved my strawberries twice, so I can't tell which ones are June bearing, which ones are Arab bearing, and which variety because they're all mixed up. I removed a lot, I mixed them together, and I just don't know what I'll be eating. I also have a row of garlic, and this is rescue garlic. So if it makes it, if I get a garlic bulb, garlic head, I'm excited. If not, they've been through a lot. Not to mention, unseasonably cold conditions and weather that's been all over the place. So I have a row of garlic there. I have some arugula that's bolting. We had one day that this week that was 90 in the morning and 45 in the evening. There's some more strawberries, so it's alternated strawberries and arugula. And that's what that looks like. On the bottom, I have, this is tomato. This is the Rutledge. It's a determinate tomato, so it'll put all its tomatoes on at once. I will not be pruning it. I have some thyme here. I have onion, another Rutledge determinate tomato, and I have some sweet alicins coming in here. And this is my tomato defense. Okay. And also another onion that is starting to bulb up. So that's what this one looks like. I have another tower. This is my leaf tower. Now this one was stacked 6 high and it literally fell over. So I started moving them to this tower to make them lower and more balanced. So now it's at chest height, lower to the ground, less likely to be affected by wind. But this top row has various lettuce. This is a Swiss chard, Marlowe, oak leaf, and this is the butter crunch I've been harvesting. I've had to replant the second row, and I replanted it with more Swiss chard. It fell over and every plant fell out. Even here, I lost some of my plants, so I have planted some more Swiss chard and some black seeded Simpson. Swiss chard here. I have spinach down here. This is kale that seems to be struggling. Like I said, these plants have been through a lot. More kale and spinach. I have harvested out all of the spinach and I placed bush beans in this area. And so I have 2 types of bush beans. I have Blue Lake bush beans planted on the ends and Cherokee wax bush beans planted here in the middle. I have little mint. I have some of my radishes that are still growing in. Let's see if we can get that. I will be harvesting that soon. This is another strawberry tower. So on the sunny side is the strawberries. On the shaded side is spinach. My plan, when you remove something, you replace it. So I removed spinach and I have more spinach growing in here. Okay. Here's my container section. So this is behind me, and I'll turn real slow. So this is my vertical container section. These are all my container plantings. Okay. I also have container herbs. So rosemary, and I stuck some celery in. This is a temporary home for the celery. it needs its own pot. But because we were having so much rain, and we typically have a lot of rain in April and May, I put the celery in so it can draw water from the pot. That way, the rosemary isn't being overexposed. It's not going to experience root rot. It's actually snatching water from the rosemary. So that's why they're together temporarily. I have some sage and lettuce, and I'm just filling in every spot. As the sage grows up, the lettuce will come out. Here is my experimental bed. So now we'll be going into my raised beds, which are open to the ground. So here I put things together, hoping to protect them from the pests. So I have oregano here right next to my tiny little mustards, hoping that the oregano and the onions will hide the fact that there's mustards here. I also have some bunching onions. I have harvested some, and I'll insert a picture of my harvest. But I left some because now I'm starting to see parasitic wasps, bees, and hoverflies that's hanging out on my flowers here. So I want to encourage them to stick around. I also have marigolds, and this is supposed to be a zinnia. It's struggling a little bit. Um, I also have an indeterminate tomato here in its cage, and it's a center post up the middle in the cage to support the offshoots. I do have some basil growing in. So this bed is a hodgepodge. Everything you can imagine is here. I want to just go back to this bed real quick. So I've been harvesting the bunching onions. I harvested to get light to these little seedling onions. So as I harvest, I planted more onion seeds. I'm also allowing my bunching onions to go to seeds and drop more seeds. So you'll see here that I have tiny onion seedlings coming in. I also have some Swiss chard here. I planted some marigolds, which may be hard for you to see, but I did plant marigolds here. And I also have some basil in this bed with some more marigolds. And I'm sorry about my shadow. Oh, and I have one little marigold that's suffering here. So I have morning sun, and these are getting sun from the south, direct sun from the south. So some of the seedlings have a little trouble. And in this bed is half turnips. So the turnips are growing in really well. And you could probably see if I can get my shadow. These little ones are mustards. Now the mustards will grow very quickly as the temperatures warm up, and the turnips will come out. Once my turnips and mustards are complete, this will become a squash bed. Okay, and so they're all doing very well. I have two little marigolds planted here. I have some standby mustards in these little trays waiting for a home. I have my potatoes. So this is my Yukon Gold, and I have three tiny, very small golf ball seed potatoes here, hoping to get new potatoes out of this bag. Here are my red Norlands, which are some of the fastest growing potatoes. Here I have the yellow potatoes. They're actually Kennebacks, and I think I only planted four of them. So there should be one, two, should be one right about here, one there. And the rest of this is the pink gypsy. So they're coming in nicely. Okay. Now this is my Kentucky Wonder pole bean container. Now these I planted off camera. Um, Typically, when you grow pole beans in a container, you'll put maybe 10 beans in and then thin down to 6. It's recommended that you put 6 beans in a container. If you're doing square foot gardening, then you would do 9 beans per square foot. So I have 11 in here, and I will probably thin to about 6 or 8. Also, if you're doing container pole beans, even if it's in a container, you need to have a minimum of a 6-foot trellis. So I just made the minimum 6 foot. Um, I may have to actually put in an arch, and the arch to go right here, which would probably make the garden look really well. But I didn't want to spend money on anything, so I'm not gonna think about purchasing until it's halfway up. Okay, so that's what's in that container. Here is my flavor bed. So it's really a pepper bed. I'm growing several kinds. This is a shishito, so I have 2 shishitos. I have a banana pepper here and over there, and in the back are my Marconi peppers. Okay, and they have some great friends. So it has basil as a friend. It has the cilantro. Now this is my windowsill cilantro. I was growing this indoors. I brought it outside to enjoy, fresh air. It is going to seed, and I absolutely want it to go to seed. I want to harvest the seeds, which are coriander. I also have some more bunching onions here. Okay, now for some of my ornamentals. I have my hostas, and these I consider specimen hostas. I let them grow to their maximum size. I also have some of my irises coming in, and this is my frog habitat. I try to have really bushy areas so that the frogs can get around. They really help with my pest problems, so I want them to be protected and undercover and able to move freely. Now this is my little rest spot in the garden. Everyone should have a spot. This is where I have quiet time and I pray and just express thankfulness for all the things that we have, all the fruits, the vegetables, the flowers, the trees, the fresh air, even the storms of life. I'm truly thankful for those because we learn from those, and yet we endure even during the storms of life. Okay, here is my yarrow, and it's starting to bloom. So this is my pollinator patch here. I don't want the yarrow to actually grow. There's a pot in here, if you can see, and this has chives. And I want to harvest these chives to add as garnish to my salads. But it's so pretty, and it's attracting parasitic wasp and common flies. So these are my pollinators. They're coming in. I have yet to see butterflies. And so my yarrow is just about ready to bloom. I can't wait for that. I also, for those dragonflies and hummingbirds, I have more yellow irises here. And here is my hibiscus. And this is a red colored hibiscus, the hardy hibiscus that grows very well in the Midwest. And you can see that it's getting ready to come up, and I just kind of provide a little support for it. So that's its cage. And here is my rose. Okay, and this is a knockout rose, and you can see, look at all of these blooms and buds just waiting, And I have buds 360 degrees around this plant, which is amazing. 360 degrees of flowers. Yes, see, it's beautiful. Okay, and here's my chaos garden. all variety of flower seeds have been planted. I've been resisting the urge to buy flower transplants. So I've been planting from seeds, and that's what's growing here. So I just have to be patient. I'm backing off of that area, and you can see my ferns are growing in, my hosta border to keep the ferns in check. And they're looking really healthy with all of this water. How can they not be healthy? That's my Emperor Wu, who's getting a little extra sun. Okay. More of my Patriot hostas. This is my Hydrangea Annabelle. It has large dinner plate size white blooms on it when it blooms. I have more hostas, and that brings us back to the pole beans. So I have this nice area of coverage so that the frogs can get around my entire yard and have cover from predators. This is back to my pollinator patch. Oh, and I have thyme. I forgot to mention that. I have two kinds of thyme. I have this lemon thyme and I have English thyme. They're both in the same pot. The lemon thyme is a little bit more aggressive. I want to keep them in the same pot, but I may have to separate them. Now, I do have a question. For my herbs, you notice that many of my herbs are in containers, like my thyme, my sage there, my rosemary, even my celery. And I was considering, should I just dedicate a raised bed just to herbs and allow them to just stay out all year long? I have them in pots so that I have the option to move them indoors so that I'm not replanting in, when we have difficult weather conditions. So what do you think? How many of you have your herbs in the ground? Do you let them just grow freely? So here's a look at my garden. So there is my vertical growing. I also have containers, raised beds. So this is my food production side there. And this is my ornamental and edible herb side here. Okay, I also want to mention that I have additional irises. So out there in the distance, I have my purple irises. So I'll zoom in for you. And there's my purple irises. And they are surrounded by the orange daylilies. I'm not quite sure of the exact variety name, but I do have an abundance of flowers. So that is my flower room there. So this is a look at my garden. No matter the storms of life, yet there is peace in every storm. So thank you for joining me in the garden. Many, many blessings for you and your family. Have a great day. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, Peace be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm.